Hello everyone and welcome to another very special episode of Floor Sits. As you can see, again, I am not sitting on the floor, but that's because I just filmed another video and this is already all set up, so I thought I'm gonna go ahead and do it from sitting here. But as some of you guys may know, this is a series that I do on my channel. Every single month there is one video and it is called Floor Sits, where I basically sit on the floor, except for today and most days, and I talk about some sort of life topic. It can be funny, it can be serious, it can be whatever I want it to be, and I believe this is episode 4, so this is becoming a thing on my channel that you guys really enjoy and I really love, so I hope you guys will enjoy this video. As some of you may know, that May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so for this video I thought I would talk to you guys a little bit about my personal mental health journey, kind of where I fall in that spectrum, as well as just mental health in general and how we can help remove the stigma of mental health, because so many of us struggle with it. And I just want to give you guys a little bit of information about, my journey and hope that it relates to you guys. And also, for those of you who don't know, this is now available as a podcast. I'm going to be putting it on SoundCloud as soon as this video goes up. So this is not really a video you need to watch. So if you just want to listen, you can turn it on SoundCloud and you can click off of the screen and just let it play in the background. And that's how I like to consume my podcast, is like on my drive to work or whatever. So feel free to check out the link in the description for the SoundCloud. Subscribe over there so you always know when a new Floor Sits episode is coming. And yeah, so let's just go ahead and get started. All right, so I thought I would start out with telling you guys a little bit about what my mental health status is and just give you a little bit of background on that. I personally have been diagnosed with anxiety and depression. I do take medication every day for those things, and while I am not in the severe category by any means, I do struggle enough to be on medication. It is something that runs pretty deep in my family, from literally everyone I know in my family pretty much has struggled with some form of anxiety and or depression at some point in their lives. I was diagnosed, I would say probably close to 2 years ago now. I've been on medication for about the same amount of time, but I really have struggled with anxiety since I was very young, and I didn't really know what anxiety was. Now everything in life makes more sense, and I just want to make this disclaimer to say that I am by no means an expert in any of these fields. I know little to nothing about, really clinical definitions and stuff like that. I just know things from my own personal journey, and I just want to make sure that I am not putting out this advice of you should go have medication or you should take the same medication I do, because I have no idea about any of that stuff. So please take everything I say with a grain of salt, but I am going to be speaking from personal experience. So the medication I take is an antidepressant and an anxiety medication together. That was the best fit for me. You have to go when basically when you get diagnosed with anxiety or depression, if you're going to be medicated, you have to kind of be evaluated, and they determine what the best what the best prescription for you will be. You also have to be really patient, because sometimes you get things that don't work and they either have to bump up your milligrams or they have to try something different. So yeah, I started out on one that really didn't work for me, and then I found one that really does. And I can tell you right now, guys, that taking medication, as much as I absolutely did not want to do it because I didn't understand mental illness and I thought it meant that I was weak and that I couldn't handle myself, once I got to a point where I was like, I need some serious help, starting medication absolutely 100% changed my entire life. And that is not something that I say lightly. That is not something I say as everybody needs medication, because it's definitely not true. There are people who do better on other things. There are people who can just suffer through their mental illness for a period of time and get better, but I was not one of those people. I had hit a wall and I felt like I couldn't get past the wall. I always kind of describe it as there's a glass ceiling above me and I just couldn't break through it. No matter how hard I tried, I could not get on the other side of this glass wall. And the day I decided to start taking medication was the day that my life changed forever. ever. It takes a couple of days to get used to. Sometimes it kind of messes with your body, you know, physically, you don't feel very good. But guys, I did not realize how anxious I was until I wasn't anxious anymore. And I feel like that is so powerful because you get so used to feeling a certain way. You get so used to the butterflies in your stomach, the tightness in your chest, the uneasy jumpiness, the constantly feeling like something's wrong and you can't figure out what's wrong, and then you just feel crazy. And then to take medication and for that to all fall away, like, you suddenly realize how much you actually really did need help. And for me, I was so grateful that I started to feel normal again, because for me it was, I didn't realize how depressed I was, I didn't realize how anxious I was, and I just thought it was normal. I'd been doing this for many years. You know, it really took me, you know, my depression came in waves, and I had been really depressed when I was younger. I'd gotten better, it felt like I'd kind of overcome it, and then I fell back into it after some family stuff happened, and I just, you know, I moved to LA during this time, and I was like, everything in my life is supposed to be great right now, and I am sad. And I couldn't figure out why. I was like standing there at the top of the building with a glass ceiling, and happiness was just on the other side of it, and I was grateful and I felt blessed, but for some reason I could not break through that glass and get to the side of happiness. And no matter what I did, I just couldn't. I was like, why do I feel so bittersweet about everything? Why do I feel so sad? Why do I feel so anxious? You know, and I couldn't break through that ceiling no matter what I did. And the day I started taking medication was the day that ceiling began to crack, and I was, you know, putting more and more pressure on it. And guys, like, I cannot tell you the last time in my life that I was this happy. And of course it comes in waves. We all have bad mental health days. There are times where you feel like things aren't going right and you're sad and you feel that depression monster creeping back up on you, and you're gonna have those demons that are always going to follow you around. But I feel like my medication put this force field around me, and it was like occasionally something will slip through when I let my defenses down, or you get a dud pill and you feel bad for a couple days. But guys, like, I finally was able to break through that glass ceiling after a few months of taking my medication. I wasn't thinking all the bad thoughts anymore. I wasn't dwelling on things I didn't need to dwell on. I was tired, but I was, you know, it was because I was doing more things rather than just being sad, and sad takes a lot out of you. And wow, I really got off on this tangent about medication that I didn't intend to get on, but I really do believe that it was what really, truly, honestly not saved my life, because I wasn't suicidal, but it saved my well-being. It saved my mental health. It saved my view of myself and of my surroundings. It really turned it on its head and made me realize that things weren't as bad as I thought they were, and that I really could get better. But I want to back up a little bit and tell you guys about how I basically discovered that I had anxiety, and kind of when I learned what anxiety was. So when I was younger, I had some family stuff transpire that I was about 13, and I had really deep depression, and what I now know was anxiety. I rarely went to school. I just didn't want to get up out of bed. I just said I felt sick all the time. My mom would let me stay home from school because she's a good mom, and she loved me. And even though I should have been going to school, you know, she let me have my time to heal, but I was just so depressed. And my mom would like sleep with me every night because I was sad or I was scared. And this is where the anxiety thing comes in, is like you can identify depression relatively easily when you have like the picture of depression that you think about, the sadness, the not wanting to get out of bed, the not really eating, the, you know, distance and the whatever. You can kind of identify that a little bit easier. But when I was so young, and every single night I was scared, I couldn't figure out what I was afraid of. I was like, there are ghosts, there are something bad gonna happen to me, I'm gonna die, you know, dad's gonna die, because at the time my dad was in treatment, like dad's scared, and I was like, I'm scared that something bad is gonna happen. And I always labeled it as scared, and I would always go get my mom and be like, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared, and I had no idea what I was afraid of. And now, after being diagnosed with anxiety, I look back at that and I was like, I wasn't scared, I was anxious. I was anxious about everything happening in my life. It was almost always at nighttime, and I just felt scared. And I was like, now looking back on it, I can take this like really deep breath, as I just did then, and think about, wow, like all that time I thought I was scared and that something was wrong with me, I was just anxious and I didn't know what anxiety was. And I think over the years it kind of, you know, diminished as things got better. I didn't have it as strongly as I did. And then, you know, some more family stuff happened. And then I found out about my brain tumor. If you have seen that video, you can know more about it. I'll link it somewhere here so you can, you know a little bit more about that. But, you know, it became a constant battle of, you know, when I was short on breath was, because it's in my brainstem, which is the area that controls your breathing, your heart rate, your sleep, stuff like that. It was always when, you know, my vision got a little blurry because I was tired. It was, am I dying? It was, if I had a little headache, I was like, my head's gonna explode. If I, you know, was short on breath, or my heart skipped a beat, or I got dizzy when I stood up, it became, rather than those being just like, I'm tired, it became, oh my gosh, is this the moment that I die? Is this the moment that something's ruptured? Is this the moment that things have grown and I'm losing my mind? And so on top of all the stuff that was happening with my family, and then putting on top of it that I also found out I had a brain tumor, my anxiety really just got to a level that I couldn't control anymore. And, you know, they say that sometimes in, you know, it starts to develop around the age, which for me was like around 19 and 20, you know, that it develops, but it also, anxiety can have like a trigger moment where there's something in your life that causes the anxiety to flip from situational to medical. Where basically you can no longer control it. Like it's reached a level that is no longer in your control. And that is, I think, what happened to me. Was I'd been able to kind of control my anxiety for many years, and then it got to a point where it was just too much. And the day that I decided that I needed to get help was when there was one morning, and my mom will remember this if she's watching, which I'm sure she is, where I woke up out of sleep, and I felt like something was going to kill me. Like I was going to die in that moment, that I was in imminent danger, that everything was terrible, and I was scared out of my mind. And mind you, I had just woken up. No bad dreams, nothing. And I woke up and it was just like my entire body was just overwhelmed with utter fear. And I was like, okay, something's wrong. What's wrong? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? I'm going crazy. Something's wrong. I don't know what to do. And that was when I decided, I called my mom and I said, Mom, something is really, really wrong. I'm afraid to get out of bed. I have nothing wrong. I have to go to class. I have to do A, B, C, and D, and I'm so afraid that I can't freaking get out of bed. And I think that was the day that my mom had been like, finally. She had always kind of known that I'd had anxiety. I was so stubborn against it. Like I didn't want to believe that I had it because I'm stubborn. Like I'm a Taurus, and if you know Taurus, we're stubborn and we don't want to admit anything, and we want to believe we can do everything ourselves. And it's just kind of my personality, and I didn't want to admit it. And then once I did, we booked an appointment with the doctor, talked to him about what I was, you know, what symptoms I was experiencing, and he recommended to me what he thought was the right thing. And long story short, a couple years later, I feel like a brand new person. I feel totally different. I feel like I can experience emotions to their full value. I feel like I can, you know, go about my day. I would say the thing that plagues me the most still is anxiety, but that is to be expected. Anxiety is just kind of one of those things that you have moments. If you don't sleep well enough, if you haven't eaten very well, if you are nervous about something, if you're stressed, like anxiety is gonna happen. And you know, I had a few weeks ago, I had just a really bad mental health day where I was like, I had like 3 anxiety attacks in the morning. I felt really depressed. I felt really down on myself because I felt like I was slipping and I couldn't control it. But there are so many different things that could have been put into that I wasn't falling back into bad mental health. It was just that factors come along. Maybe you get a pill that just isn't as strong as the other ones, and you get a dud and it just doesn't work out, or you just have a bad day. Like that's very, very, very possible. And it's never going to be something that just goes away. Like it's always going to be something that, you know, I deal with, and that, you know, now that I know I can recognize it, life is so much different. Whereas, you know, I'm sitting in my car and I'm like, oh, why do I feel anxious right now? I'm like, oh, because I have anxiety. Like I'm not in imminent danger. I'm not gonna die. I'm not crazy. I just have anxiety. And it's nice to have something that you, like a label you can put on it. Some people don't like labels, but for me it helps because it just makes it feel like it's a thing. Like, it's not this like crazy big thing, like you can picture it. Like, it's this word, it's like this big, and it's just anxiety. And that's what it is. And it's not craziness, it's not unwillingness to control your body, it's not anything, it's just anxiety. This little word, this little thing, it's just up there. It happens sometimes. And that helps me just to think about it as like this little thing. It's just a word. Anxiety is just a word and I can handle it. Depression is just a word and I can handle it. It's not always easy, but you can. And so that's kind of my mental health journey. It's not super dramatic. There were not times where I was suicidal, fortunately. There were not times that, you know, I was involved in any kind of self-harm, nothing of that nature, just kind of general anxiety and depression. And now I feel like a brand new person. That's not to say in a couple of years I won't have another bout of, you know, bad mental health, but I feel like now I really understand it a lot more. I realize, you know, once you learn kind of about your own mental illness or mental health issues, you know, it starts to uncover a lot in friends and in family, and, you know, realizing that my brother struggles with anxiety a lot like I do. My mom has it, my stepdad has it, like my friends have it, you know, it's so common, and you hear a lot about it on YouTube, and it's like people think it's like trendy to talk about anxiety, whereas for me, I'm just like, that just means that like anxiety is a real thing. Like, isn't that awesome? That's so awesome to me to be like, I can watch these people that I think are really successful and awesome and be like, that person had a panic attack like I had a panic attack. That person deals with depression like I deal with depression, and they're still so successful and they're still so cool, and I still want to be their friend. And like, that is so encouraging to me. And I love that this is a community where I kind of learned what anxiety was because of YouTube. I didn't think I had it. There's a video, I literally could probably put a clip in of it right here. No, I would not consider myself to have like an anxiety disorder, but I do struggle with that. Where I said that I don't have anxiety, that I don't, and I was lying so bad to myself at that point in my life. I was like, I don't have anxiety, it's not a big deal, I don't need to be medicated for it. And now I'm like, dude, take your meds, it's great. Like, they've changed my life so much, and that's not to say it's right for everyone, but I think if you think you're struggling with depression, if you're struggling with like feeling fearful all the time, if your stomach is constantly upset, that was me. Like, my stomach was always churning, it always didn't feel good, and like, turns out, guess what? It's anxiety. Who knew, right? I didn't know, and now that I know, it totally, completely changed my life, and I'm so glad that I'm able to talk about it now, and, you know, kind of just want to be an advocate for mental health and know that it's okay to have mental health issues. It's okay to not understand them. It's okay to want to seek help and to understand them better. Quick additional side note, it's also okay to not want to talk about your problems publicly. There's nothing wrong with that. Just throwing that in there. Great, okay, let's continue. And I, you know, hope that by, you know, talking about this more with Mental Health Month and everything, is just our Mental Health Awareness Month, that we're able to, you know, kind of open up these doors for people who think they're struggling alone, and no, they're definitely not, because I've been there, I get there. I had a bad mental health month this month, but just talking about this right now is making me feel so much better. And yeah, just know that if you're struggling with it, that there's hope out on the other side. We love you, we appreciate you here, and let me know if you have any extra questions or anything, and leave them down in the comments below. I'd love to answer any questions. You can ask them anonymously at the link below. There's always a link there for anonymous Q&A in these types of videos, so if you have anything you want to ask, please let me know. I would love to answer your questions, but I think that's all I have for today. I would love to probably touch on this topic a little bit more, maybe with a guest sometime, so keep that around. If you have any other questions you'd want to see in a video, or for next month's Floor Sits video, leave those down in the comments below. You guys always have really awesome suggestions, and I'm really excited to see those. So that's gonna be it. I hope you guys had a wonderful month of May. I have another video coming for you very, very soon, in the same spot, in the same outfit, the same hairstyle, which that part is a hint. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, let me know what you want to talk about in the next Floor Sits video, and be sure to subscribe for next month's video, and I will see you very soon. In the meantime, my name is Parker, this is Stories in the Dust, and I really hope you'll stick around a while. Bye guys!